Hey guys, I got another one for you guys today. It's a video by this YouTuber named Joshua Wiseman, whatever his name is. Sorry if I got it wrong, but the name of the video is "I Tried 100 Years of Fast Food." So let's get into the video now.
The fast food industry is worth $331 billion, and it didn't even exist 100 years ago. We have people alive today that are older than that industry. In such a short period of time, there has essentially been a fast food revolution. Each decade...
Let me tell you people about fast food, man. It's not good for you. It's not good to eat fast food every day. Maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, maybe at the most. But it's meant to be eaten in moderation. It's called fast food for a reason, but yeah.
Standing on the shoulders of the last. Sliders lead to chicken sandwiches lead to whatever this is. Maybe at this point, fast food has regressed? You see, a lot of people would say that fast food has gotten better and better. But is it at its peak of what we have available to us? The real question is, have we made everything that could possibly be made? Which is why today we are going through history to make, taste, and rank 100 years of fast food. All right, let's kick things off in 1902. The first demand for fast food in America ever was created by something called the automat, which arrived from Germany. That sounds about right. Food was prepared and replaced quickly for self-service through little coin-operated slots. Horn and Hard Fart, or Hard whatever, was the first automat, and the mac and cheese earned the most coins. It was a very weird recipe, I will say that. You have cooked noodles, a bechamel, that's right, a bechamel, not a Mornay, just a plain bechamel, Worcestershire sauce, and then you add huge cubes of cheddar, a lot of it. You toss it together, and then that goes into a casserole dish and gets baked. They called it the macaroni au gratin and casserole. And if you're guessing if that looks good, it doesn't. Now on to the tastings. For the items that cannot be acquired today, we'll be eating what we make. If it's available today, we'll eat it from the restaurant. Each one will be ranked from 1 to 10 on a scale of inventiveness. Starting with this one.
Here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first. Watch this.
So this is the original recipe for the thing. This is what I would imagine mac and cheese served in hell would be like.
To the
It's like
plate
mac
like that, I
and
don't want
cheese
it.
if the pasta was sandpaper.
This is the first mac and cheese I've had where the
same
cheese
way.
is actually separated from the mac.
The flavor's not bad. I will say it tastes pretty good. The texture is revolting.
It makes sense that this was popular during the Great Depression because it made me depressed.
This caused the Great Depression.
You might be right.
Don't fact check that. It's a pretty big innovation. If this never existed before, it's a pretty big deal, even though it was
Yeah.
Well, you got
of
to think
course, the
about
first
years
version of
ago,
many
they
things.
had what
I'll
they
give it an
had,
innovation
what they
score of
had
a
to
6,
use.
just because
They
it's
used
brand
what they
new,
had.
and it's not really improving upon anything. It is the thing.
I agree with the 6.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at you. So beautiful.
baby.
I've never seen anything like this. So
Not
worth
you.
every
I'm not
dollar I
talking
could have
about you.
possibly spent. Mwah. Go get the book. It's a good time. The link's in the description. Texture over taste. Moving on to the 1920s and a major milestone, White Castle, founded in 1921.
White Castle.
It's widely considered the first fast food chain. Despite me not loving it now, it smells like poop. Maybe it was great back then. So you're gonna take a real small little slider patty, sear that on a flat top or
Good
pan,
quality.
season with salt and pepper to taste, get a nice sear on it, flip, and add a little tiny piece
That
of
really
cheese.
up north.
By the way, this is the
Not
way that
down
it was
south,
made in
it's
1921. They
crispy.
didn't do the whole steaming and all that stuff until the 1940s. Now you're gonna add a little bit of grilled onion on top of that, then you get your little slider bun, patty goes down, add pickles, tomato, lettuce, and crown it. This looks better than the original White Castle. Maybe it is better. This is a toddler's
Not
burger.
like it used to be, but
Pretty good.
I wish they still made it like this. I
okay.
feel like White Castle just stopped innovating after making this.
White Castle introduced centralized bakeries and basically general production of anything on their menu. It was said at one point that the only thing that White Castle didn't do was raise the cow and grow the wheat themselves.
Big ups. Everybody loves a hamburger. This is the kickstart to probably one of the
Sometimes.
most important
Not
things
healthy.
in American history.
As far as fast bites and fast production, I think that's about an 8.
I will also agree that it's an 8.
I'm gonna give it a 7. So we're gonna settle at a 7.5. Thank you, White Castle. Fast food got better from the previous decade because of you. Moving on. On to the 1930s when the Colonel himself, no, not me, I'm not the
KFC.
Colonel, okay? Just
You
stop.
kinda look-
Harlan
you put him in a
Sanders started
reminiscent,
pan frying and selling KFC. His biggest innovation was his secret
Maybe if somebody
11
passed
herbs
by,
and
"Oh, you like the
spices.
Colonel."
And 9 years
Oh.
later, he switched from pan frying to pressure cooking and inevitably deep frying. That's what what made KFC fast. Obviously, nobody knows the secret recipe, but I know a recipe that beats it. And that is my KFC meal but better recipe, which we're picking up as we dredge our chicken, put it in its flour mixture with my 11 herbs and spices. The ingredients and method is in my recipe, which is in the link in the description. And now we pan fry in a cast iron skillet. Yes, the old school way. Turning and flipping the chicken until beautifully deep fried and cooked through. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Is that from KFC? Is that a KFC slogan?
No.
Why they look better than actual
The way that they did it with the seasonings and the 11 herbs and spices set such a foundation for what fried chicken is today.
They went from like a really fast, hot service item to something that technically takes more.
That's the thing about it. When you cooking it like that, of course it'll look good. But imagine to do it for a mass production and see how it looks.
Time and it's more difficult to produce. And it tastes pretty good. I've never loved KFC that much. I don't think it's that great, but
in the 1930s.
But for the 1930s, that would be hitting.
To take something that takes 25 minutes to a half hour to cook and be able to make that a serviceable item and still have a great depth of flavor
sometimes they have that soft
I'm going to give KFC a whopping 9 on the innovation scale.
I'm just going to give it a 7.5.
I'm going to go an 8.
We'll average it out. Innovation scale of an 8. Great work, KFC. On to the 40s. Next up, the 1940s. McDonald's made maybe the biggest change ever. Starting in 1949, they replaced potato chips with French fries, which they actually cooked in beef fat back then. What happened to those days, huh? They ended this recipe in 1990 and replaced the tallow with canola, blend oil with beef flavoring. Well, we're gonna make it the OG way, which is very similar to the recipe that's in my cookbook, Texture Over Taste. If you don't have a copy, the link's in the description. I love you so much. But we're picking that up with the second fry. Yes, they get fried twice. They've been poached, par fried, and frozen. Now we do our final fry in hot beef fat until beautifully golden, crispy, crunchy, stunning, mouth-watering, chancla-throwing level delicious. We season it with salt generously, and we taste. Everybody who ate the KFC and they were like, whoa, 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 and then they ate this and they were like, good Lord. I can just drive up somewhere and get this.
I'm kind of on the opposite point of this. Fries already existed.
It made me think about Cat Williams when he was talking about McDonald's. It's like, how the McDonald's fry be so white like that? Like, they don't have no potato skin on it or nothing, just straight white potato. And they all be almost like perfectly made. It's because I don't even know what they use, but it's something they use to make them. Whatever.
McDonald's just made it fast. To be in the 30s and have fast food, probably just as good as being in the 40s.
For me, it's a major improvement. Before this, restaurants were making chips. Can you imagine going to McDonald's, ordering a quarter pounder and getting a side of chips with it?
How common were French fries back then? I don't know that they were that common. Considering the #1 staple at a fast food restaurant is a side of fries, I feel like that's a pretty big jump. But the level of ingenious, maybe not huge.
Yeah.
I need to stop eating this. Although minor, I would say it's an improvement.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 7 too. I love French fries, makes me happy.
I'm also going to give it a 7.
I'll give it a 6.5.
Moving on to the 1950s. A little Florida chain called Burger King introduced a quarter-pound version of their flame-broiled burgers in 1957. They called it the Whopper. That's right. It cost fewer than 40 cents back then, which honestly, if you pay more than that today, you're probably paying too much considering what you get. But that's another story. But what the f is flame broiled? From a restaurant perspective, I don't know what they mean by that. Is it actually on a broiler? Oh, it actually is. Literally, a conveyor belt broiler. We don't have one, so we decided to cook our patty on a charcoal grill for that flame-broiled flavor. It's really about the beef fat popping on the hot heat and smoking and scenting the meat with its own hot fat. Kind of a beautiful thing. Now, we have our patty seasoned with salt and pepper, searing it on both sides until cooked through. A little bit of American cheese to melt, and then the patty goes on a seeded bun, specifically a large one. We sauce our top bun with mayo, and then we add pickles, ketchup, onions, tomato.
Anybody wonder, like, when they drop the patties on the ground, do they put them back on the bun, or do they throw them away? Because I know at some restaurants, I don't know how many restaurants do it, but I'm pretty sure some of them pick them back up. Which make me feel a way about eating fast food.
Tomatoes and lettuce. Crown our king, and we have essentially an older school, but not too different from new school, Whopper. Not that much better than the slider, but what I love about it is you get a full meal here. Slider's just like a little boy burger. This is a man-sized burger.
I feel like I had the opportunity to actually enjoy that compared to the slider.
Did this push the industry forward enough to be the most impactful thing? This is just a big slider. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Give it like a 3.
I'll give it a 3.
It's a 3.5 on the innovation scale. So we're gonna say didn't improve from the past decade. Moving on. Next up, the swinging 60s. What does that mean? What do they mean by that? When Glenn Bell opened Taco Bell and helped popularize that
Taco
hard
Bell,
shell
I know
taco he
many
had first
nights I've
tried
been to
at nearby
Taco
Mexican
Bell.
restaurants.
Oh my
His customers
God.
first called them
Many nights.
tacos. This is according to the
Late
Taco Bell
nights.
website. So here's how they do it. You cook down some ground beef, get it nice and fine, season it
no.
with whatever their taco seasoning is. Add your seasoned beef to a taco shell, followed by sour cream, lettuce, diced tomato, and cold shredded cheese. I've always hated that they did it this way. The cheese stays cold, and I don't understand why. Now we taste.
They had
I
the
grew up in a
dollar
town with
burrito.
not a lot of culture. This was my idea of Mexican
I
food
remember
until
the
I was
tacos
probably
used to be
16.
like
It tastes good, but it's built for when
30,
you're
40
under
cents.
the influence.
Taco
That
Bell
one
is
was
best enjoyed at 2 in the morning.
Yeah. It doesn't feel that innovative to me.
But what do you think this was like in the 60s? Tacos! Tacos!
Historically, Taco Bell did
But
pop.
you got to look at it from back then. You looking at it from a now standpoint where like it's so many different varieties. You got to look at it from the standpoint of back then. Was it really that innovative? Maybe.
popularized
I
a
don't know.
version of Mexican food.
Maybe this was really revolutionary for them.
I don't know.
Did this become better than the previous year? I mean, I guess yes, because there was a new
Maybe.
thing. So
Yeah.
we'll give it a score of 4. Moving on. On to the 1970s, the Arby's roast beef sandwich. I don't know how they're doing now, but they were selling like crazy.
Taco
back then,
Bell, I give it a
but not
6.
like their burger competitors. How do
Some
you
innovative
boost your beef sandwich? 1978 rolled around and they
Arby's.
created something special, the
Arby's,
beef
it-
and
it-
cheddar
it's a hit or
sandwich.
miss.
Somehow the sandwiches today look like they were actually cooked and assembled in 1978. So there you go. So we get our bun, Arby's sauce goes down, a thick layer of your roast beef on top, drizzle with cheese sauce, and then you crown your king. It's a simple sandwich. I do like beauty and simplicity, so let's taste. I mean, this looks a lot like school lunch. That's all I have to say about it.
I just wanted a slice, but had to spend more for free delivery.
At AT&T, you don't need to spend more to get our best smartphone deals. Guaranteed, even on
This feels like it would have been invented in 1910, but somehow just got invented in 1970.
This did everything for Arby's, but nothing for fast food.
What was going on in the 70s that they were like, this is what the people need?
It's just a roast beef sandwich. Even
Yeah, it's
with the
just a roast
perspective of
beef.
where
It's
we're
not-
at
it's
now in
not
fast food,
innovative.
this wasn't inventive for
I
the
give it a
time, I
2.
don't think.
I'm gonna give it an inventiveness score of 2.
I'm gonna agree with the 2.
I'm gonna go
That's
3,
great.
just because of what it did for
Yeah, the
Arby's.
same.
Locking in an inventive scale at 2.5. Was this better than the previous year, though? I'd be happier with this than a hard shell taco.
Same.
I'll let you guys have the majority on that. I don't think I'd be happy with this any day. of the
Slightly
week.
better
I like
than the previous
tacos.
decade. Moving on. The 80s. McDonald's introduces arguably one of the most iconic fast food items in the world, the McNugget. Funny enough, the whole point was to try and
I remember
convince
them
Americans that they were
20-piece
better for you than
McNuggets.
beef. The cool thing is, chicken nuggets were supposedly first invented by a food scientist in the
Honey mustard.
1950s, but they never took off until McDonald's did it like this. So shout out to McDonald's. You can forget about the pink goo in their breading
Sweet
looking like
sour.
some sort of secret thing. So I'm using my butt better McNugget recipe. Picking it up as we dip our shaped nuggets into a thin batter, followed by a flour mixture, and finally into a tempura style batter. This is very similar to how they do it in the factory. It's sort of like a 3-tier process. We then
people knew what
immediately
was in
deep fry till
McDonald's
golden
food.
brown
They would not
delicious,
eat.
GBD, and immediately season with salt. Now we taste. You know, I've always hated the McNugget, but a chicken nugget is a special thing.
But
This-
then again, I don't know. People still may find out. People know McDonald's bad now, and they still eat it. So it's like, even if they say they put human meat in it, will people still eat it? I think some people may stop, but you gonna have the majority or some that still gonna eat it. They gonna be like, fuck it. I've been eating it this long. I'm gonna keep on eating it, but.
It's a super revolutionary for the time. You had that fried chicken from the 30s, and now it's been turned into this really small bite-sized thing. I think you can't get any more fast food than what this is. To me, it's an inventiveness of like 7.
Because of the importance of the chicken nugget, I will give it a 6.5.
I'm gonna give it a score of 7.
An inventiveness score of
Still 7.
But was this better than the previous decade?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, literally a foot would be
Yeah.
a step up
Yeah, it's
from the
better.
Arby's
Yeah,
sandwich.
it's
Moving
better
on.
than-
Finally into a decade that I was born, the 90s. Going back into our childhood today. One of the most unique inventions
I
in
used to
fast
love
food. The
Pizza Hut
Pizza
back
Hut
in the day.
stuffed crust pizza. I mean, it's literally
Years
just a
ago.
pizza dough, and then they put cheese sticks around the entire
They were
outside of the
better.
edge. Folded it and baked it as usual.
of
It's not
bad
that big of a
food
jump,
fell
but I feel
out,
like in the 90s, food was kind of the same across the board. It's the second you have
Especially during
cheese
the
in the
pandemic,
crust,
man,
people
a
were
lot
like,
of
whoa,
places
we're in the
fell
future,
off
brother. And I
bad,
respect
man.
that. I remember feeling that way. But does it really withstand the test of time? Let's find
I
out.
rarely eat
A
fast.
lot of bread.
It's almost like a mozzarella stick type beat at the back, and then you have the pizza at the front. This is probably the point in time where fast food started to go wrong. It was like, let's just put things in other things and not make new things. It's inventive, but I don't think this was the step in the right direction.
I completely disagree. I'm old enough
is
to remember
inventive
when this
stuffed
was
crust.
introduced, and
Yes.
it blew
I
my
love pizza.
mind. And I still
Do
love
I eat it
stuffed
every
crust
day?
pizza because
Hell
of
no.
that like nostalgia factor.
I don't think it's that
healthy for you.
inventive. I think it tastes okay. Is it better than the previous generation of chicken nugget edition? Maybe yes, maybe
Yes.
no. But inventiveness,
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
I'd give it a 5.
I'd give it a 6.
That gets averaged out at a 5.
I give it
Moving
a
on. Now, hang on. You might be thinking, are the
7.
inventions over? Wrong. The 2000s gave us
6
one of
and
the
a
coolest,
half.
albeit craziest, true, honest inventions that actually stuck. The McDonald's McGriddle. We all know what this is. Somehow, McDonald's gets little syrup bombs built into their buns.
I actually
And
like the
thankfully, we have
McGriddle.
our own method to do that. So you sear a sausage patty. I doubt they're searing them fresh. So we're really making them look good here. We got some fresh griddle cakes, which we added cooked down crystallized
syrup in
maple
the
syrup so that it would
buns.
melt and turn into
Buns ain't
buckets
nothing
of
but like
maple
pancakes.
syrup. Flipped our griddle cake, cooked them through, and then assembled by melting cheese on the bottom griddle cake. Drop down your sausage, a folded scrambled egg, and crowned our
used to love
tea.
getting
This looks
McGriddle.
beautiful. Let's taste.
I used to love it, man.
We're expecting a quarterback.
I used to go to
We're working on his
McDonald's
football
sometimes
IQ.
just to get the McGriddle.
I'm a big fan. I had a McGriddle this morning. The fact that you used to have pancakes, breakfast sausage,
it's all
eggs,
in
and now it's
one.
all combined into one small sandwich that you can take on the go. I think that's huge for fast food.
This is a real invention. A lot of
Yes,
these fast
it
food
is.
things were
Yeah.
introduced to fast food.
I had to
They
give
weren't
it like an
invented
8 or
by
a
fast
9.
food. This is an invention of fast food that honestly I will
I
say
hate
I
it. I
actually
hate
do
going
like
to
when I make it.
McDonald's.
It's a very simple
And I'm against
evolution
McDonald's,
of
but-
what already existed on the market. I still think it's awesome today. I would give this an innovation of 9 to 9.5.
Yeah, I'd give it a 9.
I'm gonna give it a 9. Total score 9. Was it better than the previous year? Hell yes, it was. At least they
I
were
love
thinking for
pizza,
this one.
but
Shout out to
yeah.
McDonald's. That puts McGriddle in the lead. It's gonna take a lot to beat this, but we still have a few more. Now into the 2010s. KFC kicked off the decade with the Double Down. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this one didn't stick, but maybe
I
it ranks
never
well
had
here.
that.
So
It
essentially
just
the way it
looks
was
too
made was
greasy.
marinated chicken going
It's
into the
something
11
I
herbs and
may
spice
try,
thread. You get a
but
nice crackly crust
no,
and it gets
man.
deep fried. This can be done
Feel
with
like
breast or
you'll go
thighs.
to a
Now we have 2
bone.
pieces of fried chicken that are
Yeah.
boneless, to be specific. You take your monstrosity, I mean your chicken. First down goes
High
white American
cholesterol.
cheese, followed by bacon, spread on some mayo
Heart
on the
attack.
other side of the piece of chicken, and put the other
Wild
piece of mayo
arteries.
spreaded chicken on top, and there you go. Welcome to hell.
It's a massive tendon. Gross.
They're like beating the out of your taste buds. They're like salt, fat, creamy, crunchy.
My thoughts exactly. I want like a good, easy to eat meal on the go in my car. It's not really
And
there
it's-
anymore. And
and
now you're
it's
kind of
way
just in these
too
wacky things like, can you eat it?
I was in college when
Just
this thing came out, and
not
I thought it was the
practical.
coolest thing in the world.
Jesus Christ, Cam.
Tasting it just now, I almost threw up.
Better than the previous year? Absolutely not. All these ingredients, all these flavors already existed. They just mashed them together and took the bun away. Inventiveness? That's a 1.
I'd also say about a 1.
2010s were like the beginning of the age of excess, and this is like a perfect sum up of that.
And it got
I'm gonna
bacon.
give it a 2
That's
just for
more
college
grease.
camp.
Shout out College Camp.
So I think
Man,
we'll round that
mayonnaise.
down to a 1.5. Moving on to our final contestant, the modern day. How does the
0.
modern day size up with 100 years of fast food? Let's find out. The loaded
No, I'll
nacho
give it a 3.
cheeseburger from Wendy's. So it's a seared,
Loaded
yes,
nacho.
square patty for whatever reason.
I never had the
seasoned
loaded nacho
nicely,
burger,
seared
but I
on both
wanted to try
sides
it.
with a little bit of American cheese on it. You add your
don't know
cheesy
why I never
patty to
got
the
it.
bottom of a jalapeno cheddar bun. They then add more cheese on top, to be specific, a poblano cheese sauce, dredged fried crispy corn kernels, tortilla chips, lettuce, tomato, chipotle sauce on the inside of the top bun, and you crown your, I don't even know if I want to call this a king. Do you feel like this is something new? Or does this feel like just throwing stuff on a burger? There's only one way to find out. Oh my God, do not smell it.
That's scary. Have you ever gotten too drunk at a football game, ate a ton of nachos, and thrown it up? That's what that tastes like.
Whoa, that is so specific.
This tastes like a jar of Tostitos queso that was just microwaved and thrown on here. I wish we could have eaten the one we made. This was a bit difficult to eat.
That instantly gave me heartburn.
One could easily say that today's world is the golden age of fast food. Undoubtedly, because you have unlimited options all across the globe. And yet they're making things like
But it's
this. Is this
unhealthy
going to be
and it's
around
not
in the
good
next
for
5
you.
years? No. Was it
People
more
don't
inventive
eat
than the
this
previous
every
year?
day.
No. That's
Do
a
not
1.
do it.
It's a 1.
It's a 1.
I think we might have stopped being inventive in the world of fast
give it a
food starting
2.
2010. 2024 is here. Maybe it'll be better this year.
I
Bye!
like nachos and I like burgers, but putting them together, I don't. Well, everybody, this is the end of the video. So, like the video and subscribe to my channel. And oh yeah, shout out to this guy right here, man, for the video.